Good morning, good afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our last global read for Kids and Company of the year. And we are absolutely thrilled to have all three of the authors and the illustrator here of the wonderful book, Magic Happens in the Unscramble Box. I am going to share a presentation with you on our upcoming events at the very end. So that's only going to take a few minutes. And I just want to share with everyone that this is being recorded, and afterwards I will share the information with everyone that has registered for the session. So welcome, and thank you all so much for being here and allowing us to present this great program. And I am going to go away now and pass it on to Karen Cameron, who is a deputy head teacher of a primary school in the UK, and she will introduce the authors and the illustrator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lynn. Well, it's lovely to be here. I'm very excited to be here because, as Lynn said, I am a deputy head teacher in a primary and nursery school. So I work with children from 2.5 to 11. And I have actually been using this book with some of our more complex children with some really nice success. So I'm very excited to meet and introduce you to the creators of Magic Happens in the Unscrambled Box. So first of all, I thought it would be really nice if everybody could introduce themselves. So shall we start with Lisa, if you could tell us what your part in the book, really?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I live in London and I'm a psychotherapist and poet. And we just got together and wrote this book out of our skills and experience.
Lovely, thank you. Gaynor?
Hello, I'm Gaynor. I am a psychologist who works with children and parents and colleagues with both Lisa and Melissa, and we got together during COVID actually and thought we would like to do something useful, and that's what happened.
Lovely, thank you. Melissa?
Hello everybody, I'm Melissa. I obviously live here in the UK. I live in a little park called Surrey, so closer to Gaynor than to Lisa. I am a family life coach and I work with children, young people and parents. I also work in schools a lot with teachers, and I have known Gaynor since, well, for about 30 odd years now, and she introduced me to Lisa. And so the three of us got together and, as Gaynor said, we wrote these stories.
Lovely, thank you very much. And lastly, Pranita.
Hi, I'm Pranita. I'm based in New Delhi, India, and I've had the pleasure of illustrating this very wonderful book, Happens in the Unscramble Box. And I'm an artist, and I'm into sculpture and pottery, but illustration happens to be my first love. I'm very happy to be here.
That's lovely.
Can I just say, Karen, I'd like to say how Pranita came to join us.
Yes,
it was a real gift from God. For some time on Facebook during, lockdown and stuff, I was on a site, Watercolor Artists, and there was this one woman's work I just adored. And I often told her I adored it. Then when we started writing the books, when we'd written the first book, I said to Melissa and Gaynor, there's this woman on Facebook. I don't know whether she could do it, but her work, and they loved her work. I showed them, oh, wow, this is just perfect. So I got in touch with her and I said, do you think you could manage illustrations? She said, I'm an illustrator. That's what I do. My family's been in publishing for decades. I'm a prize-winning illustrator. And she became part of the team. And she's not only a beautiful illustrator, but a beautiful human being. So she's been part of our team all this time, and she's now working on the illustrations for book 2. We have 3 more ready. So thank you. But I wanted you to know how it was just by the grace of God, we met her. So it's so
Thank
nice.
Yeah, wonderful. That sounds really, really fortunate. So, as I said, I work with a lot of children, and I did get them together. I've cheated a little bit here because I did ask them if they had any questions they would like to ask you. And one of the questions that one of the children, I think she's about 11 years old, she wanted to know why you thought that children need your suggestions.
Oh,
Lisa, would you like to answer that one?
sure. Oh, we all have feelings. And when we're young, we have lots of feelings and we're kind of new at them. And we need to learn a lot about them. And we need to, when we have a feeling, we think it's here forever. We haven't learned that feelings change really quickly and come and go. And I think we all felt that we need to learn to honor and respect our feelings, but not be controlled by them.
Mhm.
So it helps everyone to learn about their feelings and to learn from their feelings. And that's what we hope these books offer, and this first story tonight. So
Mhm.
I don't know, do you think she'd be satisfied with that answer?
Yeah, I think she would, because one of the things that I do with a lot of them is talk about feelings and how we can manage them, how very important they are. But like you say, how we can then manage them. So another question, that they were really, really fascinated by the characters in your book, but they did wonder why you chose dragons. Gaynor, have you got
Yes,
any idea
definitely.
why did you choose dragons?
I think we were all attracted to the dragons for this book because dragons are magical. And, we wanted that magical feeling to come into the book, and we wanted the reader to feel a little bit of the magic of the dragons and the magic of the box, and hoped that that would reach into their own lives so that, it would suck in and they'd feel the magic when they used the tools in the box.
Yes, certainly a magic is a theme that children absolutely link into, isn't it?
Yeah,
That magic. So they certainly did. But Gaynor, one question that they did want me to answer desperately: have you got a favourite dragon?
Okay, well, for me, I couldn't choose between the two because they've both got their own personalities and their own strengths, and there's something lovely about both of them.
Okay, Melissa, do you have a favourite dragon?
Well, I do. My favorite dragon is actually going to appear in the next book, though.
Oh, okay. So we better
So
not talk about.
well,
we better not delve.
you'll have to watch out for that next book, Karen, and everybody else out there who's listening, because she arrives in a very wonderful way. That's all I'll say.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. Well, I am going to take that answer back to school, because I know that there are some who will be very excited by that answer. Thank you. So I've just got a question for Pranita, actually. The children were wondering, they loved your illustrations so beautifully and sensitively, actually, illustrated. They wondered, how did you decide on how to depict Bella and Bean? And was there anything about these characters that helped you when you were thinking about how you would depict them?
Okay, so when I received the manuscript, what really stood out was their relationship, the friendship that they had with each other, and then obviously the personalities of how naughty they were in terms of not taking what was given to them but finding a way out. and then the sadness, which was very real. So not unlike two children who would feel probably the same thing when they were disappointed in life or whatever. So I think from that point on, it was easy to give those emotions to the dragons, and to use the eyes and the smile and everything to get the feelings into their, the relationship that they share.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, and one thing that we did notice, Pranita, was that it was really interesting how the dragons change colour during the story. Does this have any particular meaning?
Definitely, yes, because colors do mimic our emotions very often. So if one is sad, then it's very natural for the colors to fade away. And then when one is joyous, all the yellows and the oranges and all just pop back into life, and things start looking way more beautiful when one is happy. So it's just a way of communicating emotions through the dragons and the change in their color. And I think whenever we brainstormed, so many beautiful ideas came up from all Lisa, Melissa, and Gaynor. And I think that really helped bring everything together in the book in terms of illustration. So I really appreciate the coordination and the feedback that we enjoy. Yeah, that's really important to me.
Yeah, it's really lovely, and it's interesting because we often at school talk about emotions as colours, and looking at the colours and trying to fit an emotion to it, and what would that mean? So to have a book where you are using those colours in that way really resonated with certainly the children that I work with. So that's that was really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So while we were talking about characters, there was one that they were interested in, and that was the responsible ranger. And they said that, in their words, that he's rather like the policeman, and they weren't too keen on his character. They didn't warm to his character. Was it your intention to create him like a policeman?
Well, certainly to create him as someone who was stating a boundary and bringing in that moment where the dragons had to deal with being told, no, you can't do that. Because, for all of us, that moment, well, it happens quite often, and it's a difficult moment. We have to face, don't we? That feeling that happens, and then we have to look inside of ourselves and say, what can I do now? How can I create? How can I find a solution? And we wanted the reader to face that moment and to start to see what the dragons did and how they created, and they didn't kind of give up. They found a positive solution in the end.
Lisa, have you got anything to add to that?
No, well, it was lockdown and COVID, and the restrictions were terrible, and families and children, were really struggling with not going to school, having homeschool. So bringing in what it feels like to deal with restrictions, and sometimes boundaries are positive, sometimes they aren't, but to bring that in as something that life sends us, and we have to learn how to handle that in creative ways and positive ways.
Yes. It's interesting that they pointed that character out, isn't it? That the policeman, they making all those rules. So if we move on a little bit to getting to the box, and they were very interested in the box. Now this is where all the magic really happens in the box. One of the questions that one child wanted to know was, why did you choose a box to contain these things?
Well, a box is a container, and it contains lots of things. And this entire book is really about how to have spaciousness to contain our feelings. So, you know, you can take that lots and lots of places, but a box holds things. And it holds magical things, it holds tools, it holds feelings, it holds us, it holds connection sometimes. So that's, you know, a lot of meanings.
And Melissa, I wonder whether you could answer this one. They were really fascinated by the crystals because the crystals made it almost like it says in the book, it was almost like it was made out of light. Can you explain to us why it was important that the box was made out of crystals?
Of course. Well, our beautiful, wonderful dragons, they live in the mindful mountains. And so when they were digging and digging and digging in our story, they dug right into the heart of those wonderful mountains. And of course, anybody who studies where crystals come from know that they are really formed in those really sort of masses of rock. And so when they found that box, I think for us it was only natural that it was made out of those beautiful, wonderful crystals and had that magical element to it. And of course, we all love crystals, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So we've got to the box, and we said before that I have had some experience of working.
Yeah. We want to hear your experience, but should we read the book first?
Yes, yeah, we
Or
can do.
should we tell Karen's experience first?
I think, well, I think maybe Karen tell us, or what, I don't know. What do you all think?
I think if you read the book first, and then I can I'm not giving away any things when I say.
Okay. And so the story
we read the book and then I can tell you how I used it.
Okay. So I'm going to start reading the book, then you two can carry on.
Right.
Okay, so once upon a time, a long way away, in a place not far from here, there lived in the mindful mountains in a snug cave 2 little dragons named Bella and Bean. They were mindful dragons living in the mindful mountains, and they were the very best of friends. And I'll show you a quick picture of the 2 lovely dragons. Okay, so this was a very special day. Bella and Bean had grown a new set of wings. On this very special day, it had been arranged for Bella and Bean to have a flying lesson with Dragonwise, the Wizard of Wings. They were very excited, so excited they could pop. They'd been looking forward to this day since their wings had started to bud. Now their wings, shiny and bright, tickled them with wanting to get up there in the clear, clean air and fly around the mountains. It looked like a wonderful morning as they peered outside the cave, but just as they were getting ready to go, the responsible ranger trudged his way to their door. He rang their big brass bell, and they came outside. He looked at them quite seriously and said, "Oh, Bella and Bean, I am so sorry, but your flying lesson today is cancelled. You can't go." Bean said in his clearest voice, "Oh no, that can't be. Why?" The ranger answered, "Well, Dragonwise, the Wizard of Wings, has had an accident. Even wizards make mistakes, you know." Bella asked, a little shakily, "Oh no, is he okay? Is he badly hurt?" "No," said the ranger, "not badly hurt. He has a sprained wing. It will heal nicely, but it will take time. He has been taken to the Hopeful Hospital, where they will take great care of him, and he will recover in about 3 weeks. Then he will be back and flying lessons can begin again. Bella and Bean looked really worried, and they said, "Oh, we're so sorry for him, and we really wanted to go out today." They thought for a minute and then said together, "We will go out and fly with our friends." The ranger shook his head slowly and said, "I am afraid there is even more bad news. Dragonwise was injured in an avalanche, and for the whole of this week, the mountains simply are not safe. You are going to have to stay in. I'm sure you're going to find quite enough to do watching snowflakes fall. Now I must be off to tell all the other young dragons. Of course, you cannot see them because it's just not safe out here." With that, off he went to warn all the others, striding away with his stompy sort of walk. And here you have a picture of the lovely, responsible ranger. So, Bella and Bean sat down with a plump. As they looked at each other, tears started to come out of their eyes. In that moment, they felt sad and worried and frightened and angry and disappointed all at once. Their feelings were all confused. Everything inside just scrambled. They didn't know what to feel first. They sat there for a while, feeling glum. They looked at each other, and little sparks lit up in their minds. Bean said, "Hey, I've got an idea. You know that place at the back of the cave where, on really bright days, a tiny little light can sometimes be seen way back at the bottom?" "Yes," said Bella, "I've seen that." "Maybe we could go there and dig our way out," giggled Bean. "Then we could all go, all on our own, to the Hopeful Hospital and see Dragonwise and make sure he's okay." Bean paused for a mischievous little moment as he thought, and then he said, "And do a lot of other things too." "Why not?" said Bella, smiling her best smile of the day. Off they dashed to the back of the cave, and using their beautiful claws, they dug and dug and dug and dug. The earth flew everywhere. Suddenly, kerfloop, the floor opened up and they fell down, 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 what seemed like a flight of stairs into a deep hole.
They landed on top of a box. Bean said, "Plonk." Bella said, "Ouch." Box said, "Hi." Bella and Bean were so shocked and surprised, they sprang off the box so hard, they bounced off the wall of the cave, slid to the floor, and came to a stop. Bean said, "Did you know boxes could talk?" Bella said, "No, I didn't." Box said, "Where have you been? I have been waiting here forever. I am your Unscramble Box, and inside me, there are things that can help you unscramble difficult feelings." Bean looked at Bella. Bella looked at Bean. And they said, "Really?" Box said, "Really? Look inside me. See the magical things I have to help you with difficult, scrambled up feelings." They carefully went to Box and saw that it was so beautiful, made of crystalline light, like the crystals they had seen in the mountain's heart. It was so hard to see the sides of box because the light bounced off everywhere. It was like the box was made of light. Then they looked inside. Look at that beautiful box. I've lost my page. The first thing Bella found inside was a beautiful, silky, fluffy, warm, cashmere-shaped, heart-like cushion. Oh, she said, it's so soft. And when I put my arms around it and hold it close to my heart is not so sore. Bean said, look at this. There is a whole bunch of paper. I can scrunch it up and tear it and rip it and make balls out of it. And he did just that. I'm so cross because I wanted to fly today. He threw the paper with great force. He said, oh, I feel better. Each of them took a nice deep breath and looked in the box again. Bella said, there's a journal there, a book. I could write how I feel. We could write a letter to Dragonwise, telling him how much we miss him, how sorry we are. I hope he gets better soon. Bean said, I will sign it. And he did. May you be well. May you be free of suffering. May you be ho soon. Bella and Bean. They then looked in the box again and they found a blanket. Bean took the blanket and wrapped it around him. In the way of magical things, it went round him again, and then round him once more until he felt comforted. It felt like being hugged. He took some time to enjoy the feeling of his heart and his tummy unscrambling. There were other things in the box. They picked up one of the crystals, and there inside was the memory of one day when a new little dragon came to school for the first time. He was shivering, with no gloves or scarf to keep him warm. He was too cold. Bella gave him her scarf and wrapped it round him. Bean gave him his gloves. The little dragon was so happy he cried. He said that he hadn't been that warm for a long time.
Bella and Bean felt the warmth of their own goodness. Then Bean discovered a bottle and a wire with a circle on the end of it. Bean said, I have seen one of these before. It's a bubble pipe. We can make bubbles with this. All we have to do is breathe. I'll show you, Bella. He dipped the circle on the end of the wire into the bottle. He deliberately took a deep, comfortable breath, and very gently, he blew a whole series of bubbles. Shiny, bright, illuminated bubbles, bringing their own light to the darkness of the cave. He gave the bubble pipe to Bella, who dipped it in, took a deep breath right into her heart, and blew another series of shiny, bright, light bubbles. My computer might allow you to see the wonderful bubbles. As they blew, bubble after bubble, something began to happen in the cave, in that hole. It became bigger. Not just a little bigger. With each series of bubbles they blew, the cave became bigger, bigger than bigger, bigger and bigger. They sat and they breathed, and their feelings unscrambled. They unwound. They became columns of light, moving, doing the things feelings do, changing. When they felt so much more peaceful, they looked at each other and said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking? There's plenty of space in here to fly and lots of soft clouds to jump off." They began to sense their little training wings and feel them moving on their backs. They were beginning to exercise those little wings, to coordinate them, to give them strength. And suddenly, they were in the air, flying, sometimes coming a bit too close to the ground, then rising up again. Swooshing and swooping, their wings were shining bright, with all the mountain light reflecting the crystals in the air and all the beauty of the snowflakes. They glistened red and pink and yellow and green, turquoise and amber and gold and white. They flew and they flew and they flew and they flew, round in circles, figures of 8, swoops, ups and downs, while their wings grew stronger and stronger. When they were tired, they went back to the floor in the hole of the cave and breathed deeply and said, "Thank you" to Box, and went and had dinner. And every day after that, while the avalanche was a problem, till Dragonwise was nicely healed and could return, they spent their days flying in the spaciousness inside. Then one day Dragonwise did get well, and he came back and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry you've had to sit with those tiny little training wings so long, but I'm better now. Let's have our first flying lesson." Bella and Bean giggled quietly to themselves, but they said, "Yes, master, yes, sir," and off they went to the training mountain. As Dragonwise was getting ready to teach them, off they soared up into the blue sky, showing him swirls and loops, crosses and circles, flips and flops. He was amazed. "Ah," he said, "I see that while I was away, you have not only strengthened your wings, you are stronger in heart and spirit. That is real flying." The end of book 1.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. It's such a beautiful book. And like I said, really one that you can use really effectively with some very difficult children. I don't know whether this is probably an appropriate point now to...
I think that's a great point to hear. Karen's really used this. We're just talking about it, but she's used it in the way we had hoped and dreamed that it would. So I'd like you to tell us what happened, if you could.
So one day we were having a very difficult day with a particular boy. He's only 6, and he was very, very angry. And when he gets angry, he gets very, very difficult. And he had to be removed from the classroom for his own safety and the safety of the other children. So he came to my room, where he was quite verbal, quite shouting and screaming. He said some very unkind things about me. One which was, I think it was, you're an ugly witch, which I, obviously that hurt me a little bit, but I just ignored it a little bit. He threw things, he was throwing pencils and things. So he was very, very distressed. And whatever I said, it didn't work. So I was thinking, what am I going to do now? I looked round, and that's when I reached for my copy of Magic Happens in the Unscramble Box. And literally, I just started to read, and it didn't seem to be making any difference at all. And I was thinking, oh, you know, we'll just keep going, just keep going. And then I got to the point where it says their feelings were all confused. Everything inside was just scrambled. And he stopped for a moment and he said, that's how I feel.
Wow. He really knew how it felt.
Yes, yes. And then I knew that this was a way in to him, which was fantastic. So I just thought, right, keep reading, keep reading. And I started to read, and he was still agitated and still stomping around the room, but I knew then that he was listening. And it was when we got to the box, of course, the most important part for him was the box, and actually of the story was the box and what was contained in the box. And he started to creep towards me and have a look at the pictures. And I turned to him and I said, so would you like a box? Do you think a box would help you? And I said it would be your box on your own. And so we began to talk about what are the sort of things he might put in his box, which he could connect with. And we compared it. So we started obviously with the cushion, and the cushion that made them feel the love and the warmth. And he knew immediately what it was that he wanted, because he carries with him a small toy, a soft toy of E.T., which he absolutely loves. And that for him is what he can connect to, and he loves it. And he wasn't too sure about putting it in the box, but I said, you know, well, it's always there, it's always safe, and when you need it. And he needs it most of the time, but I think it would be a good thing to develop him where he would be able to put it in the box and just have a little time without it, because that would show a big step. Yeah. And then we talked about the paper and how screwing up the paper might help with his anger, but he didn't think the paper was solid enough. And so we talked about that, and he said that at home he had a boxing glove, and I said, oh, I'm not sure about bringing that. And I said, remember, we have to keep safe. And he said, well, it would remind me, and I'd be able to sort of punch it on my hands. And so we decided that maybe that would work. Maybe that would work, as long as he was safe and he didn't hurt himself or anybody else. And then we talked about the journal. And of course, that is writing. And he immediately said, well, I don't write. I don't like writing. So I said, but when we write, the point of the journal is to allow us to get rid of some of those feelings. And by writing it, we can sometimes do that. And he said, no, I don't write. So I said, well, what about talking it? You know, we could record it. And I don't know whether you've seen them, but you can get those little tin things where you just press it and it just records a little bit. And he thought, well, he might be able to do that. And I said, you know, if you were really angry, you'd be able to shout and it would go in. And he thought, yes. So we decided we'd put the recording tin in it.
Inventing all his own things to go in the box.
Yeah, great.
Lovely.
Yeah, adapting it.
Yes.
The blanket was quite an interesting one, because using the word of hugging. And he said, oh, no, I don't hug. And I said, well, this isn't about you hugging. This is about you receiving a hug. And he wasn't, I don't need hugs. I don't want hugs. So we decided that we'd try it. So we found a big blanket, which I spread out all over the floor. And I said, well, what you have to do is you have to wrap yourself in it. And he had great fun doing that. You can imagine as he went spinning around, wrapping himself in his blanket. But by doing that, he actually found that feeling, that
Yeah,
wrapped feeling, that contained
fabulous.
feeling was a really nice one.
Yeah.
And so we decided to keep the blanket.
Yeah.
The crystals, of course, we didn't have crystals, so we decided how could we find something. And what we talked about there was the fact that it was important to hang on to memories where he'd been successful, where he'd been kind, where he'd been happy. And he couldn't. I said, come on, let's think of those times. And he found that difficult. So I knew that that was an area that we really had to work on. So we decided, or he came up with, we can't have crystals, but we can go around the school and find pebbles and those big rocks. And then we came up with the idea of we could paint on them, and we could paint the memories that he could come up with. So they were like our crystals.
Really
And the
fabulous.
bubbles. Yeah. The bubbles he loved. He thought that that was a really good idea. And he himself, what he recognized in this was the breathing. It wasn't so much the bubble that was created like it was in the book, but what he recognized was that by breathing in and breathing out, he said, oh, that's a good way of getting rid of your anger. And it's a calming mechanism. So we definitely thought we would keep those bubbles. So when we got to that, of course, I had his interest, and we carried on the story. And the parts that he liked, he was quite calm until, of course, they began to fly. And then he began to fly then, and he ran around the room flying as I was talking.
Yeah.
I praised him then. I said, look, you're doing what they're doing. And he was actually expending his energy, but in a positive, really good way. So I could praise him then. And then at the end, when he said that the master was going to be so cross with them because they'd learnt to fly without him. And I said, well, why would he be cross? And he said, oh, no, they've done something wrong. So it was really lovely for him to see at the end that actually he was so proud of them because he recognised how they'd grown and developed.
Yes.
And it all came round in the end. And that was really good for him to see. So then we looked around my office, and we said, something's got to change here. Look at the mess. What should we do? I said, oh, you'll have to clear it up. And wasn't too keen on that. He wasn't ready to do that. So I made it into a game, and I just said, oh, we need to, I bet you can't do it before I've done it. And then he started to do it. And what was lovely at the very end, he put it right. He put everything right, because he turned to me as we were going back to class and he said, you're not really an ugly witch.
Fabulous.
Yeah, that was lovely.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And just to show you how I've developed that as well with him, he actually decided he would have a box, and our site controller, who's very good at making things, he's actually made a box with him, and he's put his own padlock on it, he's got his own key, and we finished the painting of the memories, and that was so therapeutic for him, because he struggled to find successes and happy times. So that was so good for him that we found them and we've painted them, and they are captured now, so he can always go back to them. And just so you know, he does use that box now, and he goes to it and he unlocks it himself. It's all good.
That is fabulous.
It is utterly fabulous, and just what, everything we could have hoped for the book to be and how to be used. So wonderful. Well done. You're
Yeah.
total star.
Karen, you helped him connect with the warmth of his own
Of his own
inside.
goodness.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I do. I wondered whether I could ask you a question from him, actually,
Mhm.
because I said that I was coming to see you, and he was talking about the box, and we were talking about the way that he had chosen his own things, and he wondered what each of you would choose if you were making a box. What
Mm.
would you choose to put in your box?
Yeah.
What do you think, Gaynor? What would you choose?
Well, for me, I think I would choose probably something like my Spotify, so that I could search for the music that would help me with what I needed to deal with. And so, something loud and if I really needed to get rid of my anger, and some lovely soft music if I needed to calm down. And obviously with music you also have many memories attached to it. So looking for that sense, of that the crystals gave, you can find that with music as well. And even happy feelings,
Mm,
with music, a little bit of dancey music can do you a lot of good as well. So I
yeah,
think that would be what it would be for me.
yeah. Melissa, have you got anything that you might put in your box?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's right here next to me, Karen. It is my breathing sphere. So, as you said, breathing for the little boy and the bubbles was
Yeah.
about that sense of letting go. And so I love my breathing sphere because you can breathe in
Oh, wow.
Yes,
and
wonderful.
breathe out.
Utterly wonderful.
And it
That's
gives you that
great.
real sense of that in and out,
Yeah.
which really helps the child, or anybody. I mean, I even
Mm.
use this, to just have that real flow of that real piece of coming in and out, so you feel like you have let go. And I love that. And for me, it's a kind of meditative way of doing my breathing. So there you are.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. I might get one of those myself.
Absolutely.
Pranita, have you got anything that you might put in the box?
Oh yeah, definitely my sketchbook and color pencils,
Yeah.
definitely a pen or two
Wonderful.
for sure.
Yeah.
And this stole, which is very soft and always gives me a sense of comfort. I would want to have that close to me. Not in the summer months, though it gets really hot here.
No,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how that sensory, that feeling that the black, when he was wrapped up, I thought, that is such so important, that to have that with you. Lisa, what would you put in the box?
Well, I'm with Pranita. I'm with everybody, actually. I love them, all the suggestions, but I love paints. And I had an instructor in the last degree I did who was just horrible to me. And I made the most wonderful series of paintings, just get rid of all the anger at her. I love paints. I really get in there. But I also am a stuffed animal person. So I would have some small stuffed animals too in my box. But I love all the other suggestions. I think we've got just a few minutes left for questions before we finish. I think that's what Lynn said. So I don't know if anybody wants to put any questions or in the chat or.
Yeah, there is one here that says, is for me actually. It says, how much time did I spend with the boy that day? Quite a lot of time, because it took it was over an hour that I took that day. And then from that, when he was calming down, we had to talk about it as well. But from that, it wasn't just that day, it was revisiting it and going back to him, and making the box and making the painting the stones and collecting things, and then actually showing him how he could use the box.
That's interesting, Karen,
Yeah.
because at the back of the book, there is a little message to both the children and the parents. And it's a little message about how to enjoy making your own box and to help you think about ideas of what you would like to use, and also to give you an idea of some guidance in that, some support and help,
Yes.
and a little message to the parents as well, in helping their child with the whole process. So we put that there on purpose because we thought it was nice just to bring all those ideas that had been brought up through the story and you know, put that at the end of the book.
And yes,
And
it's
it's
not
very useful.
it's not
Good.
just a session thing, it's a life.
Yes.
These are life skills. And this is a
Absolutely.
long-term, thing. But I'm interested, Karen, what would you put in your box?
Mm.
Oh yes, what would I put in my box? I think I would definitely put a book, and it would have to be a book that I can escape from, because that's what I like to do. If ever I've got issues or anything, I like to get into a book, into a story where I can just leave everything and escape. So I definitely put some kind of storybook to whisk me away somewhere.
Like
That
magic
makes
happens in the Unscramble Box.
Yes.
Yes, I'll put that one in. That would be great. That would be great. There's also a question about a reaction from the boy's parents subsequent to the first session with him. Well, what can I say? I don't think that, well, the parents do know about this. It's a very difficult family life. And I think I've asked them to create their own little box at home, which may be different to the one that we have got at school. I'm not aware that's been done yet. So that's maybe the direction that I need to go to next, is actually work with the parents more. Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we are nearly there. I don't know whether there are any other questions that may come through at all.
None have come in via email or anything, but I just want you all to know that this has been one of my favorite global reads. And I absolutely love the toolbox or the box. And what I would put in my box is
What would you put?
definitely a book, because I'm very much a book person. I can't live without books. And I would probably put in the first book in a series that I love, which is called Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. And Maisie is a tremendous example for me, and so she has a very grounding effect on me. And in addition to that, I would definitely fill it with memories of success, because when I get worried and insecure, it's really nice to remember, oh yes,
Yeah.
I was actually able to do this or that, and that takes me forward. So I thank you all so much, so much. This has been absolutely wonderful. And I can't wait to hear about the next book.
Thank you.
I really hope that you'll keep us posted.
Thank you. The
Thank you
next
very
book
much.
is called Magic Happens When the Mind Opens.
Oh.
And that's about prejudice. And book 3 is Magic Happens When a Bird Has Two Wings, which are wisdom and compassion. And that is a fabulous story. So, and the 4th book is The Relaxing Things, which is helping children wind down. So
Wonderful.
there are many more to come, but
wonderful. Well, of course, I'm sure you already know this, but to me, these are all skills that are, for children from what, 1 to 100.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you very, very much. I just want to share screen for a moment and let everyone know what else we have planned for the charter. So let me see here. I am going to share my screen. Okay, come on. I guess I'm not. Am I? Well, this is one of those deep breath situations.
Isn't Zoom wonderful when it works?
Why can't I do this? I did it just a moment ago.
Don't worry, you'll get that.
Magic happens.
No, if not, then I guess I will have to just tell you. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
So every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Pacific time, 8 a.m., the Charter offers Harmony of Humanity. And this is a music program that's curated by our executive director, Marilyn Turkovich. It's absolutely wonderful. And it will continue in 2025. It's very popular. So come and join us. There's a registration page on our website. And then still to come in December, on the 10th, next week, at 8 a.m. Pacific time or 4 p.m. UK time, we have Allies in Action, the UK chat. And I don't know if it would suit your calendars, but I would say, you know, if you have time to join us, please do. It's always a wonderful group of people. Then on the 13th at 8 a.m., we have the Social Justice Partner Monthly Meeting. And on the 19th of December, we have the EdNet Forum, Compassion in Action. And on December 6th, that was yesterday, but so in January, we have our healthcare sector's kitchen table chat. And that's every month, first Friday of the month. And it's always really wonderful with very interesting conversations for people from all over the world. Then we have our next Sangha is going to be on the 25th of January. It's always the last Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Since this month, it's going to be on the 28th and just in the middle of holidays and everything, we decided not to offer it this month. Then in 2025, we have some wonderful programming, the 40 Days of Peace. And they start on the 20th of January and go all the way through February. And we have 3 global reads that are planned right now. And the first one is on the book Witness, Lessons from Elie Wiesel's Classroom. And we will have author Rabbi Ariel Swing, who was a student of Elie Wiesel. And it's facilitated by Parker Palmer. And we're very excited about that. Then we have in February on the 26th, God and Nuclear Weapons. And that is with Bishop William Swing and will be facilitated by Marilyn Turkovich, our ED. And then we have on the 28th, so we have 2, that's because of the 40 Days of Peace. It's not just one a month. We have several planned and there will be some other ones added. On the 28th at 9 a.m., we have Being Noble with author Livia Malcanjo from the Permanent Secretariat of the Nobel Peace Laureates in Rome. And this is facilitated by Joy Ngoma Tutu, and she is one of Archbishop Tutu's granddaughters. And that will be all we have in December and coming up in January. And then, of course, thank you very, very much for joining us today and wishing everyone happy holidays wherever you are and whichever holidays you celebrate this month. And we all hope, I think, that 2025 will bring peace, health for us all, and compassion, because compassion really is the key, and it brings happiness to all, and it brings peace if all we can do is really commit to it and make it work. So thank you very, very much. I'm sorry you
Thank
didn't get to see
you.
my
And
slides.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.